Alrighty, I think we'll make a start. Good to see everyone. Welcome to the workshop. This is a workshop for Vim, if you didn't know that already. I think you surely did. So, I'm going to go over a few things today. I'm going to give a very brief overview of what is Vim, and then I'm going to try and convince you guys why you should use Vim versus other options out there like Emacs. And then we will have a bit of a session where we can get some one-on-one time with Vim, and then we can try stuff out. And I'm going to try and cater towards like everyone here. So whether you're an absolute beginner at Vim or whether you already know a couple of things. Say, who in this room has done the Vim tutor?
About half of it.
Half of it, yeah. Cool. I like it. So, we're going to learn some Vim. What is a text editor? Well, text editor, any of these things, any things that edit text, these are the ones available on your lab computers. And these are some other popular ones. We've got Sublime Text 3, which is very popular. Atom.io is GitHub's new editor, which is very much like Sublime. Pretty cool stuff. Notepad++, which turns out is actually the most popular text editor in the world.
What?
I know, it's weird. Yeah. According to Stack Overflow's recent survey. So, it's the most popular among Stack Overflow users, which might tell you something. And we've got IDEs, which are more than just a text editor. They're like fully integrated development environments, which can debug your code and do all sorts of things. These things are not text editors. These are word processors. There's a distinct difference. Word processors are for like making documents that look fancy and that you're going to print out, not for editing code. So on to Vim. Vim started out as a program called VI, but VI is like ancient, really, really old, right? It's kind of dated now. So they made a new version called Vim. They just added like an M on the end, and it's supposed to be for improved, which is a very bad pun. Vim is written in C. It's written in C, and it's also written in something called VimScript, which is written in C to write VimScript. Anyway. And it's also open source, so you can see what the code is if you so want to. Yes, some people type V at the terminal. I don't know why they do that. You don't want to be using V. That's stuck in like the past. You want to be using the new shiny Vim, right? There's a few very major features that you don't have in the old V. So make sure you add the M on the end. Now, why is Vim so different? Well, Vim is a modal text editor. Which all it means is it has different modes. It has a normal mode, which can be used where your keys turn into shortcuts, right? Every single key on the keyboard is like a shortcut in normal mode. Then you've got insert mode, which is just the same as any other text editor. You type something on the keyboard and it appears on the screen. And you've got some other modes that we'll look at later as well. But why Vim? What's so good about it? Well, actually, it's pretty popular. This is Stack Overflow's recent survey, and Notepad++ comes number one. I don't know why. Sublime Text is also pretty popular, but Vim is popular as well. It's also the most popular amongst DevOps and sysadmins, and they know what's up, right? They've got to code fast and it's all sorts of stuff. So, Vim is flexible, right? You can have simple little window where you just type stuff and it's easy and stuff comes out. Or you can make it really big. You can have like file browser on the left, tag browser on the right, multiple windows, and you can pile in your code down the bottom in the bottom section as well, which is a bit hard to see because low res, but you get the idea. It's lightweight. Vim on your computer is only like 21 megabytes or something. And that's, of course, before plugins and stuff, but yeah, that's pretty small, right? And it will run on just about anything, including basically anything made in the last 20 years will run Vim. Or, in the worst case, VI. It has a GUI. You can get MacVim, which is the GUI for Mac. You get GVim, which is the GUI that's on all our lab machines. And there's even NeoVim, which is this new NeoVim. It's under development, so it's not quite ready for prime time yet, but pretty interesting stuff. Big advantage of Vim is, of course, you can use it over SSH, right? So I can be on my home computer at home, SSH into the lab computer, start up Vim, and have my full environment there ready to go. No worrying about copying files back and forth across like SCP or FTP or whatever. And if you're SSHing into computers that you've never SSHed into before, I mean, maybe you're SSHing into a web server or something and it's only just been spun up, it's pretty likely to have Vim on it. And if not Vim, it'll definitely have V on it, VI. So if you know how to use Vim, then you'll know how to use a text editor anywhere, pretty much. Okay, why is it so fast? Why is it so fast? Well, we have these modes, right? So as I said before, in normal mode, all your keys become shortcuts. It's pretty cool stuff because that means you can jump around. But the real reason why this exists is because VI was developed in a time before mice, right? And we needed to move around, but not just with like the arrows, right? Because that's kind of slow. Also, I'm going to convince you why mice are kind of bad and why you should move away from the mouse. And that is, you can think of editing text as this kind of little loop here, right? Say I pick a letter that's on the screen in a wall of text. Say I want to jump to that letter, right? Say I use the mouse. Imagine it in slow motion, right? I'm typing the keyboard. I lift my hand off the keys, right? Which means I've lost my position on the keys. Move my hand across to the mouse. I hit the mouse, right? Cursor does a little jump when my hand lands, right? Then I look at the screen. I want to be there. Where's my mouse pointer? I might jiggle the mouse around to find the mouse pointer, right? It's over there. So I move my mouse in the direction of the target, right? I'm moving the mouse and I'm thinking to myself, am I there yet? No. Well, I'll poll again. Am I there yet? And my mouse cursor is moving across the screen. Nope, not there yet. I might overshoot, right? Still polling, am I there yet? I come around, the mouse cursor is finally on my target, right? When you break it down like that, it's pretty slow, right? You could even think of it in terms of complexity, log n. The distance between the cursor and your target is halving each time, right? But in Vim, the aim is constant time. The aim is to look at the target, bam, 1 key or 3 keys, and you're there, right? 1 to 3 keys, and you should be able to get anywhere on the screen. So, let's keep going. Can Vim do this or that? Like, does it have the same features as Sublime? Can it do like this that my other text editor does? Or can it do that? The answer is usually yes. Yes, it can. It's just a matter of Googling how to do it or looking up which plugin to use to get it to do that. There's so many plugins for Vim that for just about nearly every single thing, there's a plugin that you can find to do it. And of course you can look up on Google to find those. So Vim is hard to learn. Well, it's harder to learn than Nano, say, or harder to learn than Get, because you've got to memorize a few keyboard shortcuts, right? You've got to memorize normal mode shortcuts, and you've got to figure out how it all works. But it's a time investment, because once you start using Vim, you can be so much faster. So if you take the time now to like train yourself and like use Vim, then for the rest of your coding career, you'll be able to code faster. It'll be great. And you'll spend ages like customizing it just the way you like as well. I mean, I do. And there's a certain joy to like, you know, making all the colors just right and like, you know, decorating everything. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I don't know. It's like, I think of it as like playing the piano, right? You got to practice the piano, but it becomes muscle memory to a degree, right? So Vim also becomes muscle memory, and by the time it's muscle memory, you'll be very fast at it. So how do I get good at Vim? Well, there's Vim Tutor. This is a command that's installed. If Vim's installed, Vim Tutor is installed. You can type Vim Tutor right now, if you like, if you've got a terminal open, and you can look at what it does. It opens a Vim window, and it has a walkthrough step by step, and we'll come back to that. Vimcast.org is fantastic. It's a guy who walks you through like a whole bunch of different features that you can use, a whole bunch of different tips, and there's like screencasts of them, and he puts up the keys that he's using, keys that he's pressing. So that's really good. Vim also has help, :help. So that's a command you can type in Vim, and it will bring up documentation in Vim for any command that you type in. So you type :help insert mode, and it will tell you about insert mode. And of course, you can look on Google and Stack Overflow. There's plenty of information on there as well. Alrighty. So, getting good at Vim. Well, you got to practice. I reckon if you want to use Vim, if I've convinced you, you should use Vim for your uni work, right? You want to practice to get good at it. So you might think, oh, I have an assignment due, you know, I want to get it done as quickly as possible, or just go back to Sublime or whatever. But you really got to force yourself, in the beginning at least, to learn how to use Vim, and then by using it for your uni work or your whatever work you're doing, by using it, you'll be practicing it and getting better. I used Vim throughout my summer internship, right? And that forced me to use it every day, you know, be coding and practicing, learning new things. So it was great. And now I improved so much over that period, even, just because I was using Vim. And once you get comfortable, you'll get much faster. Also, never stop learning, right? Never stop learning. There's so much to Vim that you can learn that you should always be looking for what's a better way of doing this, or what's a better way of doing that. How can I do this quickly? Or wouldn't it be nice if Vim had that feature? And it does, right? It probably does. So just Google it and then install whatever plugin you need to, or whatever that is. Okay, so let's learn some Vim. Finally, right? Okay, the plan is we'll do basic Vim first, and then I'll get you guys started, and then if we have time, we'll get to the intermediate Vim, and maybe even some little tricks that are pretty advanced. Alrighty. But first, do you have your exit buddy? 30 seconds to introduce yourself to the person next to you, because they will be your exit buddy. They will be the person you can talk to, like to work out how to do things. And otherwise, you can talk to any one of the workshop helpers who will be around. Okay, 30 seconds, starting now. Introduce yourselves, go. Alrighty, that's enough time. So, if you got a computer, that's fantastic because then you'll be able to use Vim. Check out this address. I made up a cool cheat sheet that you can use, and that has lots of commands on it that you can reference. Download it, share it, print it out, put it on your wall, make it your wallpaper, whatever you like. Hopefully it will help. Yes. And the URL is still down the bottom there, so it's okay. So Vim can be frustrating at first, but just keep with it, right? Soon enough it will be muscle memory, just like I said. So, if you haven't yet, grab out a terminal and type Vim Tutor. Vim Tutor. Alrighty, everybody got that? Cool. Okay, so the first bit is how to move in Vim, right? Because, well, you'll open it up and you'll see some text. In fact, I think I've got it open here. Vim Tutor. Okay. Vim is powerful, blah, 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 blah. Attention, blah, 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 blah. It's important to remember that the tutor is set up to use. Okay. So, I've got this cursor, which is what you expect from a text editor. Okay. Moving the cursor. So, you can use the arrow keys if you want. However, it's not what I recommend. The Vim way is to learn H, J, K, L, right? J and K are like up and down. J is down, K is up. And they're actually the letters that your fingers rest on when you're just resting your hands on the keyboard, right? So they're easy to find, they're right under your fingers, and they mean you don't have to lift your hand up off the keyboard, disabling half the keyboard, and moving your fingers to the arrow keys. So, give it a go. Try moving around with H, J, K, L. And you can even hold it down, and it will repeat. Alright. You can ask questions at any time, by the way. And if you get stuck, just put up your hand, or talk to the person next to you. Feel free to talk over me, it's okay. Is anybody stuck yet? Everybody managed to get Vim Tutor up? Fantastic. Alrighty. So, the next thing is, if we're ready to move on, how to exit Vim. Okay. So, how do we exit Vim? Remember, if I go back to my presentation for just a sec, will I be able to? Yep. So, to exit, what you do is you type colon Q exclamation mark. Colon Q exclamation mark. You can do that now in Vim Tutor. You'll just have to open Vim Tutor again, but that's okay. It's worth it to try it out. So colon, Q, exclamation. If something stuffs up or something goes wrong, just hit escape a few times and then try it again. You should see it being typed at the bottom of the screen. So, for example, I can quit Vim by going colon. You see it appears right down the bottom there. Colon, Q, exclamation mark. Quits Vim. I can go back into it with Vim Tutor again. Alrighty. What about deletion? Okay, we're up to deletion. So, X to delete, it's just like the mnemonic is you're crossing it out, right? X for cross. You're crossing out the character, you're deleting it. So, let's have a look here. Right now, we're in normal mode. So normal mode is the mode where we execute commands, which is why we're not actually typing J's or K's or L's or H's when we press J, K, L, H, right? So the tutor asks us to go to the C and press X. So X is like a delete, right? So just delete the extra letters until it all has it's the correct sentence, like that. Alright. Everybody following along? Everybody get that? Alrighty. So, now we get to the juicy part, right? How do we actually enter text? Well, like I said before, modes, right? We have a normal mode, insert mode, and some other modes, visual mode for selecting text. And we've seen briefly the mini command line. That's where we typed colon Q. So anytime you type a colon, it will go down the bottom of the screen. It's like your mini command line, right? But first we'll be looking at these two, right? Insert and normal mode. So for inserting text, we press I. So you can try navigating with JKHL to the line marked with an arrow. See this arrow here? This text is missing some letters, right? So we want to insert those. So we hit I. I'm going to press I now. Pressing I. You notice insert comes up down the bottom here to let you know you're in insert mode. And then you can type as normal some text. Right? Now, I want to move my cursor along so I can finish off the rest of the sentence, right? So what I do is I hit escape. Escape will bring me out of insert mode. I'm going to hit it now. And will bring me back to normal mode. Notice the little insert thing disappears, right? So then you can use L to go along and fill in the rest of the letters. Insert, I for insert again. Oops. And an I missing. I can go along. It's a from. Escape. This line. Escape. Everybody get that far? Ah, yes. So you might notice that when you hit escape, it rings a bell. You want to, I'll show you how to disable that later on. It's annoying, isn't it? If you hear a bell every time you hit escape, because you'll be hitting it a lot. So, you will notice, possibly, that when hitting I, it starts inserting before the cursor, right? So, there's two commands. I for inserting before the cursor. That's where the little green thing is here, right? If your cursor is the grey one. on the E. So if I hit I, it will start inserting text before the E, right? You can also use A to insert text after the cursor. So where the little blue bar is up there. So that can be handy if you want to type after your cursor, which is maybe more what people are used to in normal text editors. So try that. Try see what the differences are between I and A. All right. Once we get that worked out, let me move back to my. If at any point you're wondering what I'm doing, you can just ask me as well. All right. So I could go here and use an A to go after from. Alrighty. I think we got that. What about this? We can actually append at the end of the line, no matter where we are in the line, right? So say I'm in the middle of the line here. I want to jump right to the end straight away, right? Hold Shift and press A. So it's a capital A. And then it will jump to the end of the line. Bang. Right there, right? And I can keep typing this line. Easy. So it turns out it's just like I and A, right? Except when you capitalize it, when you hold Shift I on Shift A, instead of going before the cursor or after the cursor, capital I will go at the beginning of the line, capital A will go at the end of the line. Pretty cool, huh? Alrighty. So, alright. Editing a file. Okay, so how do we edit a file? Well, say we want to save a file, right? If we type :W, it's down the bottom there, but :W, right? That's like the command for writing. The acronym, no, the way to remember it is W for write. Write to the file. In other words, save the file, right? And then you can put a file name after it, like hello.txt, and if you press enter, it will save it. There we go. So now, if you do that, it will save this text file, because this is just a text file, right? It will save it to whatever directory you started Vim from. You can also go Vim hello.txt if it's a new file name, and it will create a new file called hello.txt at the command line. So remember, we also have the Q command. The Q command is for quitting. You can combine them and go WQ to save and quit all in one go. So if I hit enter now, bang, it quits. But luckily I saved it as, what did I save it as? Yes. So I can go back to it. Aha, but it's a bit different. So I'll go Vim Tutor again. Deletion. Okay. So, is there anything else? You can put the exclamation mark. What the exclamation mark means is to quit without saving. Because if you type Q, :Q, and you've edited the file at all, it will say, oh, are you sure you want to discard all these changes? Are you sure you want to quit? So if you are sure, then you put an exclamation mark after the Q. Yes, I want to quit. I want to get rid of everything I just did. And you can combine that with WQ as well, if you want to overwrite, say, a file. Alrighty. So this is a summary of the lesson. And now, what I'll get you to do is to continue on to lesson 2. And I'll stop speaking and we can get down to some Vimming, right? And I'll continue on maybe in a bit. Let's go.
But what if Vim is more like? Yeah, that's true.
Yes, you can use Vim in the exam. It's pretty brave, I think.
But you can actually combine them with the master of
Okay, now that you're all underway, continue on. You can kind of half listen to me if you want. But I'm going to tell you 6 amazing productivity tips for Vim, right? Emacs users hate him. Oh my gosh. Okay. So tip number 1 is memorizing using mnemonics, right? Just about every command in Vim has mnemonics, or things that help you remember which letters they are, like I for insert, A for append or after, B is back, so you can go back a word by typing B. Lots of stuff like that. It's all pretty, there are ways to help you remember it. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is touch type. Touch type. But I actually mean really touch type, right? So I thought I could touch type this time last year, right? I thought, oh, it's good. The Vim life, right? But it turns out I was actually typing and glancing down at my keys all the time to check that I'd hit the right key, or that I was about to hit the right key. So I found this when I went to my summer internship, where they gave me this keyboard. And they told me, this is all you get to use. Everybody in the office uses one, right? And they are faster because of it. Because it forces you to touch type, right? It forces you to learn. It forces you to learn the symbol keys. It forces you to learn where the square brackets are instinctively. Go back and forth from the square brackets or the curlies, right? It forces you to know all the numbers off by heart. And everything that you thought you knew that you don't actually know, you actually learn. So, blank keyboards are great. You can buy them online. But maybe you don't want to be that extreme. I don't know. It's good though. It's so good. Yeah. I've got a mechanical keyboard here, and they're really nice to type on because you get nice feedback from the keys. They got a little click, and there's a key tester I think going around as well, which is an example of some different types of mechanical switches you can get, which is pretty intense. But you might be interested in that. You can get blank keycaps for mechanical keyboards. Okay, tip number 3 is you can type this command: :imap kj escape in capitals. But first, type this command first, because it won't work otherwise, right? What does this do? I love this command. This is one of my favorite commands, right? So I'll show you what it does right now. IMAP allows you to map one set of keys to another. So I'm in Vim right now, right? IMAP kj escape in capitals. Oh, I also have to set no CP. No CP is non-compatibility. So by default, Vim tries to be like VI, which is terrible because there's a whole bunch of features missing. You can't even select text in VI. So you want to type this command: set no CP. Right? Yes, that's a good way of putting it. Okay, IMAP kj to escape. And what will that do now? That'll let me do when I'm editing text, I can type KJ really quickly, and it's like typing escape. Yeah, except I didn't have to reach for the escape key, right? And it happens that J and K are right below your fingers when you're resting your hands on the keyboard, right? Awesome. Not only that, but if you accidentally hit KJ while in normal mode, it goes up and down, right? Which leaves you at the same place you started at. So it's fantastic. I recommend IMAP, KJ, escape, like that, right? It's one to remember. You can also, there are other reasons why that's good. Some people have alternatives, like KK or JJ or JK, but I find that the most uncommon thing in like the English language or in general, I've had one time where I've had to type KJ. One time. And that's when I was typing the alphabet backwards. Okay? So how often are you going to be doing that, right? Yes?
So you have to press them both at the same time, or is it just sequential K then J?
It's sequential K and then J, but you can do it pretty quickly. What happens is, when you press K, you have 1 second, I think, to press J. And if you don't press J, it'll just insert a K like normal. And if you press another character that's not J, it will also type it, just like normal. So it's almost invisible unless you actually press J. So here we go. I'm here and I type K. And you notice after a second, it moves the cursor along. If I type KW, it moves instantly. Or KK, I can type it really fast. But if I type KJ, I'm out of insert mode and I can jump all over the place. Yeah. Yep, alternatives are KK, JJ. I don't think they're as cool. You can also hit Control C. If you hit Control C on your keyboard while in insert mode, it'll shove you back into normal mode. So I guess the mnemonic for that is like, Control C in your shell is to like abort or escape from the current running program, right? So it's kind of like the same thing. Next pro tip is, now, you might think I'm crazy, but bear with me, right? Because trust me, it's worth it. If you remap your caps lock key to the control key, right? How often do you use caps lock anyway, right? If you remap your caps key to the control key, like on this keyboard, right? It's so much easier to type control. You can type it with your pinky, and you can be like Control C, Control V, Control X, whatever you want, right? It's amazing. Like, even if you don't think you'll like it, just try it out for like a day or something, okay? After getting used to it, you'll love it so much.
Can you just do that with iMac, or do you have to do it in keyboard settings?
You have to do it in the keyboard settings for your OS, or by a keyboard that has control apps already.
In the proper place.
Cool. That's actually like how they were in old keyboards. There used to be no caps lock there. It was actually a control key. Really old keyboards. For Mac, in system preferences, in keyboard, you can remap it like that. In Linux, there's you can Google for X1 map. There's an X1 map command, or just Google how to remap my caps lock key, and there'll be guides to show you how to do it. I don't know how to do it in Windows, but I know there is a way to do it. It's useful for Vim, because Vim has a few keys that you will learn, like if you want to do window splits, the Control W, really handy command. We'll get to that. Also, it's good for read line commands. If you don't know what the read line commands are, then maybe your brain is overwhelmed with all the commands you're already learning. But when you're when it's a rainy day and you've got your computer in future, you can try looking up the readline commands. So if I'm just in a normal terminal now, it happens that Control W backspaces by word. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. And there are a truckload of readline commands as well. Like Control A will go to the beginning of the line. Control E will go to the end of the line. Crazy, crazy stuff. And there's a whole bunch of others like Control K, which I think works, which deletes everything after the cursor. So if you learn those, you'll be fast at the command line too. Actually, to be perfectly honest, you can even use Vim commands in your command line. Like if you hit escape, I've got all these Vim commands I can go around and use. But you have to enable it. And that's, you have to Google how to do that. I've forgotten how to do it in Bash. But it's a simple command. It's called like V keys. And Control C, of course, will just cancel the command. So, back to the pro tips. We've mapped our control key. There's even, in OS X, I know there's a program called Carabiner. And Carabiner even has a feature, if you download it, where if you press the caps lock key, it will do a caps lock. But if you hold it down, it'll be a control. So that's pretty cool. Next pro tip is speed up your key repeat. So go into key repeat, turn it all the way up to max, and put the delay to pretty short, right? And that means you can scroll up and down with J and K really, really fast, right? Very, very handy. Alrighty. So, okay, now this is where, like, okay, still with me? HJKL is like the Vim way of life, right? Now I sound like a fanatic or something, right? But no, these commands will disable your arrow keys. You're looking at me like I'm crazy. No. Disable your arrow keys. It's awesome. It's awesome, okay? And it only disables it in Vim. So you're safe, right?
There's also one that like interrupts you every time you try to use them.
Oh yeah, I use that. But I didn't want to go too extreme. This will force you to use JKHL, which is much faster than moving your hands to the arrow keys, right? And then moving them, trying to find where the keys are, and then back into position, right? And you can make it so these commands will work every time you open Vim. If you put them in a file called .vimrc in your home folder. So the .vimrc is just a file that contains a bunch of commands you want to run at the startup of Vim. Like I can create one right now if you like. Escape. Except that I already have one, so I'll make a new folder. Okay. Vim.vimrc. What should I put in my vimrc? Well, we have those commands. Map up to nop. And nop is no operation. So basically disable them. You could map it to something else if you like. Like you could map it to switch your windows if you have splits open. Map down nop map all the others. Okay, here are some others that I recommend that you type and possibly even remember. Okay, because in the exam you're going to be given a completely blank Vim, vanilla Vim. So you want that set no CP, set no compatibility mode, right? You want to set NU, which is short for numbers, which will put numbers down the side, like you see here, right? You also want, you might want the IMAP KJ, oops, hard to type, KJ to escape. Also good is set AI. AI is auto indent, which means it'll make enters at the beginning of the lines to auto indent. Yeah.
Syntax?
Yes. Sin on will turn on your colors. Yes, thanks. Which means if you're editing code, then it will be syntax highlighted, just like this file is right now. Brilliant stuff. Okay.
How do you set how much indentation you take?
That's a good question. And actually I can't remember, but I will show you how to find out. You type colon H for help, and then whatever you want to learn, right? So shift width, I think it's called, or something like that. And then it'll open the help file. Shift width returns the effective value of shift width. This is okay. It's used in the tab stop. Okay, failing help file, you can always Google. Wait, to the other window. Okay. How to set tab space Vim. Okay, set tab stop equals 4 and set shift width equals 4. There you go. Easy. Alright, and I think you can also set expand tab is very good as well. What that will do is it will insert 4 spaces rather than inserting the tab character, which is the way to go. It's the nice way to go. Alrighty. Okay, so what about GVim versus terminal Vim? What are the pros and cons of these two things? Well, GVim, positive. It has slightly smoother scrolling than terminal Vim, because every time you scroll in terminal Vim, it's got to redraw everything, right? It's got dynamic cursor, which is kind of handy. So when you're in insert mode, the cursor will look like a bar. When you're in command mode, it will look like a square, which is kind of handy for visual feedback of whether you're in insert mode or you're in command mode. GVim can display millions of colors. You can have more fancy color schemes and whatever you like. And has a toolbar that you should get rid of because it's annoying. It takes up a lot of space. It has like save and open on it. You know how to do that. So, terminal Vim has access to the command line. If you hit Control Z, it will suspend Vim, and you can compile. And then you type FG and enter, and you'll be back into Vim, right? And that works for other programs too, not just Vim. You're limited to 256 colors on most terminals, but you can also use it with T marks or over SSH, which you can't do with GVim. Alrighty. There are also a lot of plugins for Vim, which are really, really cool. Plugins do amazing, amazing things. Like, there's a plugin that lets you do those read line shortcuts in the insert mode, or there's plugins to enable pretty much every part of, of Sublime's feature set like multiple cursors at once all over the screen, so you can type like crazy, right? However, having plugins can sometimes slow down your Vim a little bit. If you like it to be really, really fast, then yeah, maybe plugins aren't here. Vanilla Vim is what you get in the exam. So it's Vim with no plugins. But of course, if you memorize a few commands, all you really need to know are the ones that I wrote up just now. That is set no CP, set AI for auto indent, and syn on for syntax on, and set NU for getting numbers. Right? And anytime you SSH into any computer, it's bound to have Vim. It's like almost definitely going to have Vim. Same if someone else's, like, if you're using someone else's computer, they'll most definitely have Vim. So if you know vanilla Vim, then you know how to use Vim on anyone's computer, or any computer. Yes, Jeffrey?
Can slow down Vim, why is that a plus?
It should be a minus. It's not a plus. It's a minus. Yes. Yeah, and that's it, guys.